Coach, what's your goal for the offense during this week, during the bye?
You're kind of trying to get some people healthy at the same time, trying to get some fundamentals done. We've got work to do. We got to clean up some things, and um, we're just but you're kind of trying to work some of your base stuff. You're trying to get a little bit ahead on Rice. Um, trying to get some guys healthy, but you're trying to stay sharp. You're trying to move forward from a fundamental standpoint, just while still getting a head start. So I think it's coming a good time. Got 3 games under our belt and kind of see where we are and what we do well, what we don't do well. Try to fix the things we don't do well, and um, try to dodge some raindrops here the last couple days. So it's that kind of thing.
How do you think the adversity that you faced and the response to it last week is going to help you moving forward?
I didn't like the adversity we faced there. I'd rather not turn it over the first 3 times you get it. But now that it happened and we did bounce back, that's you can always draw on that. I think every time you overcome things, deal with adversity, come back from behind, respond the way we did, I think it shows you can. And so the next time, if it happens again, you have more confidence in those situations. But we need to start better than we did. You don't need to put yourself in those situations. Football's, some of the teams we're going to play are going to be extremely challenging, and it'll be much harder to overcome, in the future. It's kind of funny. We do things, and when we do it right. When we turn it over, we turn it over. Um, we got to do quarterbacks got to do a better job. One of the things was just a silly little muffed handoff on a play we run every day. Um, we got to clean those things up, but like I said, you can always learn from something, and so hopefully that gives us confidence that we can bounce back from mistakes.
How is Jackson Gutierrez developing as a running back while at the same time doing what you need him to do as one of your backup quarterbacks?
Well, right now he's pretty much playing running back, just because we need him there. His days at quarterback are not over, but right now, he's pretty good with the ball in his hands, doing the things that position does. So he's learning every day. So we wanted to commit to doing it. To be fair to him, we wanted him to be there all the time, meeting with Coach Jasper with the running backs, learning, and because it isn't fair to the kid to try to do too much with him. So, but he's learning it. He's getting it. He had some nice runs in the game. He had a nice pass protection one time on one of our long downfield throws. So physically, he is a good running back, and he'll keep learning and getting better.
Thanks, Coach.
Hmm.
Cam Nolan.
Kind of going off of what Scott asked there with the turnovers, coach. How reassuring is it for you knowing that, yes, you don't want turnovers, but to see how quickly your offense responded?
It was good. I don't think there was any panic. I really don't. I don't. I think a year ago it would have been tougher. Okay, but I think our guys are pretty confident in what we're doing and their ability to execute it. And I think, Blake really did a good job of taking ownership there and staying positive. I think he had even walked over to the defensive huddle and said, "Guys, it's my fault. We're going to get it back. We're going to get it together." So I think you have some veteran leadership there with him and some of the other guys. I think, obviously you don't want that to happen. You don't want to get down 2 scores. But at the same time, we were able to then, reel off, I want to say it was 6 touchdowns and 7 possessions, after that. So that was a good job bouncing back against a team that I thought had pretty good front, especially on the interior. We were able to wear them down a little bit. And then you saw complimentary football in the third quarter where, defense three and out there right out of the gates. We score. Same thing again. We score, and then now you're keeping their defense on the field, and we had some longer drives, and you start to wear people down. So I'd like to start a little better, but I do like the way that the second and third quarter looked. there was a lot of good things.
And how would you assess the balance of your offense's ability to rack up big plays, but also sustain those 13, 14 play drives?
Yeah, I think the ability to do both is great. To kind of grind it out sometimes. But then we had I think it was 12 explosion plays. So explosion plays for us are runs of 12 or more, passes of 20 or more. So so to be able to mix that up and honestly, they were protecting their back end a lot. They did not flow downhill really quickly. So hopefully that's what we present now to defenses. I think 2 years ago, safeties were lined up at 7 yards and running the alleys really quickly, and I think now we've shown the ability to throw it over their head and some different things. So that slows some things down. So that really helps the run game. So you're able to kind of get in the game. We probably didn't throw it as much as I planned on throwing it, but sometimes the defense dictates that too, right? So, and then when your quarterback picks up 2 3rd and longs like he did, to keep drives alive, that's great coaching right there. So we'll keep letting him have the ball, and hopefully he'll make us look like we know what we're doing. But those were 2 huge 3rd downs, obviously right before the half to lead to a touchdown, and then in the third quarter, I think the second drive of the third quarter, he had another one in 3rd and 14. It kept us on the field, and I bet if you charted college football over the last few years, if you make a 3rd and long in a drive, you generally score 7 points. It just kind of works out that way. So Blake kept us on the field a couple times there. So yeah, a lot of good things happening.
Lastly, a question I thought of last week, but I wanted to save it until the bye. One of your former teammates got asked about a 30th anniversary of an interception last week that took place between Peyton Manning and Kirby Smart. I wanted to ask you what you remember most from that game in
So
95.
from which game now?
95, Georgia, Tennessee.
95 Georgia, Tennessee. Oh gosh, 95 Georgia, Tennessee. Trying to think of that was in Knoxville, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what was and who were you talking to?
So last week there was a clip that blew up of Kirby being asked about intercepting Peyton Manning 30
Uh-huh.
years ago. They said it teeing up the Tennessee Georgia game. I wanted to know if there were any notes from that rivalry that you particularly remember,
Oh.
maybe from that game, but figured I'd give it a shot.
Um, I mean, I remember we were in Sanford Stadium with Peyton Manning one time in that game, threw one. I don't know how his back wasn't on the ground yet. And y'all can go back and look it up. His shoulder blades were about to land on the ground, and he threw a touchdown into the end zone. Um, I remember in probably 94 up in Tennessee, or 93. I'm trying to remember which year it was. I remember Robert Edwards started off with a bang, running the ball, and then broke his foot, which really was a bad deal. Robert ended up being a first round draft pick at running back, but I got to throw a fake field goal up in Tennessee. Um, that would have been 97. I don't know. So that my first time dressing out for a road game was in Knoxville. So that would have been 94 maybe, 94. Um, and you talking about loud. Uh, it was loud. There was 100,000 people in there. The stands go straight up. It holds all the noise in. You cannot hear yourself think. So those are some of my memories, but I'm getting pretty old and it's been a while, so it's just hard to remember.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
I was in my fifth year in Navy in 1995. Joe Miller.
Don't
Thanks,
tell
Coach. We'll
anybody
teach
that.
Tim. We'll teach
Don't
Tim
tell
about
anybody
the
that, Scott.
90s. You talked a little bit about that, about the Tulsa defensive line, but I thought of the games, they probably pushed you guys back and got a little bit more pressure on the quarterback than we've seen all season long. When you look back at what the offensive line, how would you sort of assess what they did on Saturday night?
I thought they did a good job. They had their hands full a little bit. The one sack we took was a missed assignment. Um, I thought we from a pass protection standpoint, I thought Blake had pretty good time to throw, and then when he was able to scramble, one of the reasons he was able to scramble was because we had a hat on a hat, and we were able to create a pocket where he could step up and be a threat there. So, um, but it was, I felt like their interior guys were pretty stout guys, big guys, twitchy guys. Some of the defensive ends were very talented, but I do think some of those defensive ends, you find sometimes you get in those games, those defensive ends would rather be rushing the passer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think we were able to control those particular defensive ends. Um, so our kids got after them. I think we wore them down. But it was we got hit in the mouth a little bit too, and that's okay. That's going to
Yeah.
happen. I mean, that's. But I do think we responded pretty well and did a pretty good job. And we're a little. It's good that, like I said, the open week we're a little banged up. Acevedo ankle was a little tender. And I think about, some of those other guys that probably, once you play 3 games and it's been physical and all that, I've been through camp. So I think those guys will be back, to pretty much 100% this week and be able to really play well. So, but that's just part of it. It's just part of it.
I was looking at some of the outside stats and advanced numbers, and they have Blake rated as one of the best quarterbacks in the country against the blitz so far this season. I think he was past perfect 11 for 11 in their numbers against the blitz. How would you assess him this year and sort of in his career against blitzing teams and teams that bring pressure to him?
I think Blake handles things very well. He is. I don't know if you guys can tell, but he's the first few games of the season last year. It always took him a series or two to just kind of settle down. I, I feel like he goes into a game now. I know, like I said, I know we had a pick early in the game, but he just seems really comfortable to me. He seems to see things. The game has slowed down for him. Um, he's making, for the most part, making good decisions, getting us in the right deal, and he's competing. Like some of the things he did in the game, or just him he's just a really good player, right? He just, something broke down and he made a play. And then some of the runs are designed and he's reading it properly and we're blocking them pretty well, but then he's breaking one extra tackle and those are turning into explosion plays. Um, so Blake's pretty special. He's pretty comfortable. And I think he's having a good time. And that's what I want for him. I mean, the guy's a hard worker. He's a good leader. He's the kind of guy you want, your kids to be around. Um, and he has handled, he gets a lot of attention now. Okay. There's a lot of sugar poured on him and he handles those things with a lot of humility and grace. And he's a very thoughtful young man. He spends time with people. So I'm just really proud of the way he represents. He's a really good player and a really good person. And I think anytime he's back there, you got a chance to go out and score. I think he's special.
Um, from Alex's perspective, he's had 3 straight games with 15 attempts. Actually, go back to last year, he had 15 attempts against Oklahoma too. But last year, that game against Oklahoma was the only time he had 15 attempts in a game. He's gone 3 straight games. What's the difference? I mean, obviously Daba played a little bit more. You split some more time last season. Are you concerned about those numbers going forward, lighten the load, or are you cool with, his workload so far at this point in the season?
Yeah, I think Alex needs to be a 12 to 15 carry a game guy. I do. And we want some of that is also designed to take some of it off of Blake. You don't want Blake and Blake had a lot of carries in the last game. So trying to spread the ball around, probably need to get Chat the ball a little bit more. Just some games for the Snipes it depends on the game, depends on what they're doing defensively. But you want 24 touching it, you want 22 touching it, you want 46 touching it. We're getting some X receivers that are kind of starting to make some plays. So I'm building more and more confidence there. So being able to spread the ball around, I think is one of the things that hopefully makes us hard to defend is you can't just key in on one guy or one scheme that you got to be able to cover all your bases defensively.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Wags.
So I wanted to ask you, the jet sweep has been a very successful play during your time here. I think Navy may have run jet sweeps here and there in the past. I can't remember, but obviously it's a much more of a staple of your offense, and it's been very successful. I don't know if you track this. Just for instance, so far this season, what have you averaged on jet sweeps in terms of yardage? Do you know?
It depends because we do jet sweep a couple different ways that, so the under center jet sweep this past game wasn't as efficient just because of how they were lining up defensively. We got a lot of mileage out of our power read. Okay. And that power read's been probably our most consistent play over the last 2 years, where you got a jet coming and the quarterback's reading, and sometimes the quarterback keeps it up inside, and sometimes he hands the ball off out of the gun. So I mean, you see Eli getting on the perimeter with that play. You see Chat getting on the perimeter sometimes with that play. But you know, I've probably what's crazy is I've probably run jet sweep less here than anywhere. We've always felt like the jet sweep sets up everything else. So, but it was really good the first two games. Didn't quite get quite as much mileage the under center version of it, but the power read version got a lot of mileage on Saturday. Jet sweep, you got to have counters off of it. You got to have play actions off of it. You got to be able to hit it downhill, up inside, off of that action. But I do love the jet sweep, no question.
In your opinion, what's the key to making a successful play? I mean, from my vantage point, it seems that you get a lot of yardage off that over the last 2 years. Is there anything crucial, whether it's under center or the power read out of shock? I presume that's out of shotgun, the power read.
Yeah. So I think it's just being able to leverage the perimeter. Are you able to get people reached? Are you able to get the perimeter? That means your snipes got to be good arc blockers. Your X receivers got to be able to both crack and stalk. Your tight ends got to be able to reach. It just means that you got to spend time there. You're going to be good at what you spend time on, and we spend a good bit of time on those things, trying to leverage the defense and get on the perimeter. But you have to protect the play by having answers, right, when they're trying to take it away, whether it's something downhill, whether it's a counter out the back door. So you always got to have a way to protect the base runs by counters, nakeds, play action passes, things that hit downhill. But if they want to take jet sweep away, they can. But if they commit to taking it away, they're going to give you some other things. Is kind of the theory. So yeah, hope that answers your question.
Well, and last for me, I mean, do you feel like you've got two players that are very adept and very ideal for the jet sweep in Heidenreich and Chapman?
Absolutely. You feel like both those guys are good at it. I think all of our snipes are, have a chance to be good jet sweep runners. And Eli is very adept at it. He has the ability to understand when to take the edge, when to stick his foot in the ground and get upfield, when to, at what point do you even cut back sometimes. So he's got a really good feel for that. Chat, the same thing. He gets on the perimeter and gets his foot in the ground, runs really hard. Every once in a while you'll see, Charlie get out there and you also have the rocket toss, which is kind of a version for me of the jet sweep. But you want to get those guys out there in space and we're going to win games if number 22 is out there in space, number 24 is out there in space, even sometimes trying to get, 46 out there on certain things, toss it out there to him or whatnot to get him on the perimeter.
Wyatt Kopelman.
Hi, Drew. Now that you've been at Navy for a season, how much easier is it to review film with your offense coming off the first road of the season, first road win of the season, first road game, and now heading into a bye week too?
How easy is it to review
film? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I was on the plane watching it on the way back. Okay, so you try to get ahead of the game, but then our guys and our staff, we're very comfortable with each other now. So you want to have great attention to detail and go through the things, but at the same time, I know Dave Cole knows what he's doing when he looks at corrections that need to be made. I know Mick Yurkaitis understands exactly what we want to do. All the coaches kind of have a great feel for each other. And if I'm guilty of anything, sometimes it's probably, I can assume that everybody's on the same page, because most time they are. But then with our guys, with our players, they do a great job. A lot of them have already watched the film on Sunday because they all have access to it, right? So they watch it on Sunday. So by the time they come in on Monday, we're reviewing it with them. Blake's already said, "Coach, I messed this, and this up, or I should have done this," and he's on top of it. Like our kids are really conscientious about about wanting to do it right, and when they make a mistake, wanting to see the mistake on film, wanting to correct it. So I feel like as an offense, we're further ahead. The guys have more experience, and they kind of have they even sometimes come and say, Coach, this play may be, remember the one we did last year versus so and so. This may be there. So they're really understanding what we're doing, and they kind of understand how my mind works, why I'm calling certain things, what we're trying to accomplish, and what the answers are. Because I ask them, we get out there and say, okay, we're getting this set. What are the three things we're thinking? What plays are we're thinking? If they do this, then do that. And our guys, they get it. They do a great job.
How much does that remind you, that accountability level remind you of the execution you saw right out of halftime once offense gets on the field for the first time in the third quarter on the road against Tulsa?
Yeah, I mean, we went into halftime, and to be honest with you, they hadn't stopped us. We'd stopped ourselves anytime, right? So we wanted to go in. We didn't have to make a lot of adjustments. It was more about, hey, let's settle down and be us, right? Play inspirational football, great effort, great execution. Let's be. We don't turn the ball over. That's not who we are, right? And let's just go be us and do the right things. And I think that was probably all three phases. That was some of the conversations that were had at halftime, and then you saw good complementary football coming out in the third quarter. So our guys are fair. Last year, like I said, sometimes if things weren't going right initially, you know, there wasn't always great confidence. I just feel like now, 1 year under their belt, winning 10 games, having success offensively, now we're just in a different place now. Now we still got to go execute, right? You still got to go play, but I think we understand that, and I think we handle adversity a little bit better. And once we kind of get going, we can feel that momentum too, and we're able to kind of put the hammer down. So at least I think that's the flavor I get. Some of the coaches on the sideline, when I ask those questions, I come out and say, hey, how were we on the sideline? What was our demeanor? Coach, nobody panicked. Everybody was positive. It's the right things you want to hear, right things you want to see. So that's really good.
Do you get the sense that from all the experience you've had coaching wide receivers, coaching an offense now at Navy, that working in the box allows you to better see the game and certain tendencies for a defense to allow for those adjustments to come about in the second half?
Yeah, no question. I really enjoy being in the box. It's just so much easier for me to see and navigate. And for 8 years, I was a head coach calling games from the sideline, and I trusted my coaches to give me good information, but at the same time to be able to see things real time, have that headset, or have the direct contact with Blake, that the speaker he has, there's every once in a while it's, hey, Blake, like, hey, change it to this, and sometimes he's already starting to do that. Right. But it's the ability to see it and communicate it, really helps me personally. Some coaches would rather call it from the field. I'd rather call it from the box.
Thank you.
Scott Wyckoff.
One more for me, Coach. I know you love having great players, and they're two outstanding players for you, but what is it like having two of your biggest offensive weapons, such good friends who have been playing football together since they played Pop Warner?
Yeah, with Alex and Eli. Yeah, I mean, it's those guys. They have a special relationship. Obviously, they've been knowing each other since they were tiny, and they believe in each other, trust each other. But then you throw in Blake with that, and you throw Chet. They all are like that. Okay. But Eli and Alex just happen to have known each other longer, but it's still some of those bonds that are out there are pretty impressive. So there's a lot of confidence in teammates out there. Like they believe in each other and they trust each other. Man, that's worth points. Okay. That's worth points. That's worth, converting, right, on conversion downs. That keeps you on the field. So that's really important. We got a lot of seniors on the skill positions offensively, and you can see that. You can see the way they work together and the way they pull for each other, the way they support each other. It's fun to coach that.
Thanks.
I know Tim said he's good. So Joe Miller.
Yeah, just one last one for me, Coach. Theo at tight end played a ton against Tulsa.
Mhm.
What did you make of his game on Saturday? And sort of, I know he's young and it's still a long way to go, but for his future, what do you like about his skill set?
Well, he's big and can run. He's learning. He can hurt you in the passing game. And he's earning my trust. You know, there was some times earlier in camp where it was like, is Eli or is
Theo.
Theo, gosh almighty. In a moment there, then is Theo, is he going to be a guy that can help us this fall? And then obviously to have Cody out, and then now Theo is your second guy. He was going to play meaningful snaps, and he made some mistakes, right? But these are every time he gets to go out there and play, right? He's going to learn, he's going to get better. And so his future, he has a lot of potential if he'll keep growing. And so he was in there for meaningful snaps in this game. And he did some really good things, right? He didn't just go out there and lose his mind. He lost his mind a couple of times, but it was a lot more good than bad. And he'll learn from that and be real, because you got to go play your first game at some point, and play your first meaningful snap. So to get that done and go out there and have some success, I think was really big for him.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Got about 6 minutes left. Wags.
So, with regard to injuries, with a bye week, more time to heal, do you think you will get back Cam Nichols, Grayson Crawford, Cody Howard, those three in particular?
Yeah, I think there's a possibility. I do think there's a possibility for all three. I don't know for sure yet. There's still some time left and still some progress to be made. But they're making progress. But I honestly don't 100% know whether they'll be available next week or not. We're hoping for that, hoping we have them.
Did Grayson play last week? I thought Grayson might have played last week.
Yeah, Grayson's available.
Yeah, Grayson played last week.
So yeah.
So you had talked about Nichols plugging right in at center, which would move Hoke, will keep Hoke at guard. But now when you get Nichols back suddenly, and if Crawford's back, suddenly the depth looks a lot better. Now you know that you've got three guys, Heater at tackle, Torrin Smith at center, and Crawford at guard, correct? Does that suddenly make the picture of depth in terms of the offensive line a lot better?
Well, one of the things that dealing with injuries does is it makes guys step up, and then they get valuable experience, and it creates depth. Just like at tight end right now, same thing, right? With Cody being out. So, and you could see how last fall when Cody missed the first few games, how much, Scully and Jake developed. And it's not just you got to go out and play in a game some too, right? And that's how you learn and how you create the depth. So I think sometimes while you don't want to have injuries, sometimes those injuries make you create depth. And so, yeah, when Cam comes back, and now that Torrin has played a lot, because Torrin's kind of been the surprise of the season so far, right? All of a sudden he got his opportunity. He's done some good things, and you feel comfortable with him being in the game. I agree with you that it seems like it'll be a little deeper now once everybody gets healthy. Absolutely.
So Strauss was mentioning that with 2 more touchdown receptions, Eli Heidenreich ties the school record. With 3 more touchdown receptions, he would hold the school record. Can you talk about that, number one? But even on the other hand of the coin, it's a little Navy-like that the school record for touchdowns, career receiving touchdowns, is 13. I'm looking at Cooper Kupp had like 85 when he was at Eastern Washington. The NCAA records are in the 80s, and I got guys that had single season 28. Can you talk about how Navy like that is? That the career record for touchdown receptions is 13.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can't remember how many he caught last year. I look more just to we just want him to score, you know, whether we throw it to him, hand it to him, or whatever. I just like it when he gets in the end zone. But I would imagine, if he stays healthy, pray that he does, that he will get that record. I would imagine so. We're still gonna, we're probably never gonna have anybody that has 80 touchdowns receptions in their career here. But I think we're gonna continue to have opportunities to have guys, break some records, hopefully in those deals, like the passing situations. And, I love what we're doing. I think we're able to spread the ball around. I think a lot of guys are touching it, whether they're catching it, whether they're getting handoffs. Some people, on power read, they pitch it forward to the guy, so it can be a catch. You know what I mean? Like, instead of being, they hand it to him, so I don't get caught up in all that. We're just trying to get in the end zone, have explosion plays. And, but I would imagine that he, like I said, hopefully he will get that done. And, you love Blake to get a bunch of touchdown passes. All those things are really cool. But bottom line is scoring touchdowns, however, whatever that looks like. And those guys are pretty good at getting in the end zone one way or the other. That's what's so special about Eli, Chat. Those guys, you just got to get them the ball different ways, and they'll make you look like you know what you're doing.
All right, last for me, because I know we're running down. Josh Guerin, you've been very praiseworthy of his blocking ability and what he's done in that area. This past game, he got downfield, got open, and then made a tremendous catch. What can you say? Do you feel like you've got a real talent there, an up-and-coming young talent?
I do. I think every time every pass he catches, more confidence, right? And he's a young man who has really come on this summer in fall camp. He's another guy that you just go, man, is this guy, is he going to figure this out? And he's just really come on. He's got a smile on his face. He's positive. His effort is outstanding. He wants to be good. I want to keep giving him opportunities. The same, with him, with Luke, with Nate. Those guys are doing a pretty good job. And so you got a lot more confidence this year of taking those shots with those guys. I'm excited about Josh. Really excited about his progress. I'm really the work that Coach Ukaitis has done there has been phenomenal with those guys. So that's started off as a little bit of a question mark, and I see that becoming a bigger and bigger strength for us.